Liam woke up in a ridiculously fancy room, heart racing, thinking it was all some kind of dream. But nope, it was real. He was stuck in the body of Liam Hamilton, a ridiculously rich but hopelessly inept noble kid. His family had money to burn, but Liam couldn't even tie his own shoelaces. It felt like some kind of cosmic joke, and he was definitely the punchline. Late for whatever embarrassing task awaited him, Liam knew he'd probably screw it up, just like always. The next day, after being helped into his clothes by his personal maid, Liam learned he was the fifth son of a count, and that the big party yesterday was to celebrate the birth of his baby sister. Later, he sat down with his older brother Bruno, hoping to get the lowdown on his family's mess. Turns out, the Hamiltons were about to lose their noble status, which in this world was basically like going from royalty to being the equivalent of someone still rocking a flip phone. In this world, every noble family has to accomplish something impressive within 3 generations, or they lose their status and get downgraded to commoners. Talk about pressure. The Hamiltons, however, hadn't exactly been on a mission to change the world. No inventions, no wars won, just a lot of parties and expensive coats. Bruno, the fourth son, explained that while their older brothers were off doing noble stuff, his job had been to be the family screw-up. He was basically the black sheep, but without the drama. Now, they were on the 3rd generation without doing anything notable, so the family was teetering on the brink of falling out of the nobility ranks. Bruno, though, didn't care. He was chill about the whole thing and didn't mind if they became commoners. Liam was a little surprised by his attitude, but to be honest, he didn't really have a stake in it either. He'd only just arrived and was still figuring out what to do with his life. Then their magic teacher showed up and announced they'd be starting magic lessons. Liam perked up instantly, eager to learn, and asked if he could actually use magic. Bruno, slightly taken aback by Liam's enthusiasm, mentioned that there were grimoires in the family storeroom, but warned him not to get his hopes up since most people couldn't actually use magic. The teacher encouraged Liam to still study it, though, since understanding magic was important, even if you couldn't cast a spell. Liam asked his maid to show him where the grimoires were, and she led him to the mansion's study, which was filled with shelves of knowledge. He was amazed by the sheer volume of books and pulled one on basic fire magic. Following the instructions, Liam successfully created a flame on the tip of his finger. Pretty impressive for a first try. Feeling bold, Liam went to his father's office to ask for permission to use the grimoire library. His father, as expected, was dismissive and uninterested, basically telling Liam he could do whatever he wanted. It wasn't exactly an inspiring interaction, but at least he got the green light to dive into the grimoires. Over the next couple of days, Liam mastered all the basic elemental spells and eventually got to the point where he could cast them without needing to look at the book. Bruno, who couldn't use magic at all, was blown away by Liam's talent and even told him he was destined to make a name for himself. However, Bruno also got curious and asked if Liam was learning magic to position himself as the next family head, which could make him a target for their older brother. But Liam wasn't interested in family politics. He just thought magic was cool. Once he'd mastered the beginner spells, Liam decided to tackle ice magic. But as he was leaving the library, his father called him in. Apparently, word had gotten around about Liam's magical talent, and though his father couldn't have cared less about him a few days ago, he was suddenly very interested. He asked Liam for a demonstration, and after showing off his ability to cast magic without a grimoire, the Count was thrilled. Finally, it looked like Liam could be useful to the family. He told Liam he was free to use any resources he needed for his studies. All of a sudden, a report comes in that a particular man has appeared on the Hamilton land, so the Count orders the soldiers to be mobilized so they can capture him. From the sound of things, this guy must be a really big threat. But that has nothing to do with Liam, so he heads back out into the forest so he can practice his magic. While he's walking out into the woods, he finds a man sitting under a tree, and the man seems a little on edge. Once he spots Liam, he asks if Liam is a member of the Hamilton family here to capture him. Liam confirms that he is indeed a member of the Hamilton family, but he has no interest in capturing him. He doesn't even know who the guy is to begin with. The guy is relieved that Liam isn't after him, but then he notices that Liam is carrying a grimoire, so he asks if he is studying magic. Liam confirms it, and since constant practice is the best way to improve, he's going to go practice now. However, before he leaves, the guy asks Liam if he wants to learn a more efficient way of using magic. This gets Liam's attention, so he asks the man what he is talking about. And the man shows him a technique that allows him to use 5 different types of magic at once. Liam is extremely impressed, so the guy asks if he wants to get a quick magic lesson, and Liam says he would love to. The guy is honestly surprised that Liam is being so polite since nobles are known to be quite the arrogant bunch, but Liam is different, mostly because he just reincarnated here recently. In his first lesson, Liam easily drew 2 diagrams at once, then tried casting 2 spells simultaneously. A flame cutter on his right and a fireball on his left. He succeeded on his first try, which impressed the instructor. Then the instructor challenged him to cast 3 spells, but Liam's magic fizzled out after 2. The instructor explained that Liam simply didn't have enough magic power to sustain all 3 spells, but with practice, he'd get there. The instructor then taught Liam about multi-spell casting, revealing it only works with prime numbers, 1, 2, or 3 spells at once, but not 4. The instructor himself could cast up to 13 spells, though 6 was easy for him with his vast magic reserves. However, due to the prime number rule, he can't activate any higher SEMO casting until his magic power can accommodate 17 spells. Liam is currently 12, so the man is confident that with a solid training routine, Liam will be able to raise his magic power to great heights. And to help him with that, the man offers him this special ring. The ring is basically a massive grim wire and has all sorts of spells stored on it, so Liam can learn them whenever he wants. Liam eagerly put on the ring, and suddenly, over 300 spells flooded his mind. Excited, he cast a windshot spell, creating a massive gust of wind. Thrilled with his success, he turned to thank the instructor, only to find he'd vanished. Just then, his mate arrived, warning him about a suspicious man in the woods and advising him to be cautious. She handed him a grimoire from his father and left. The instructor reappeared, explaining he'd been using invisibility magic and couldn't be seen. He then showed Liam how to summon elemental spirits using the grimoire and the ring. Each spirit was absorbed into the ring, allowing Liam to call on them later. Afterward, the instructor disappeared for good, leaving a note telling Liam to keep training and he'd become a great mage. Just don't mention him to anyone. A month later, Liam had grown much stronger in his magic. Bruno was shocked to find that Liam had made white charcoal, a difficult, smoke-free fuel made with extreme precision, and had also crafted Locro crystals, which restore magic power. Bruno couldn't believe Liam had done all of this on his own with just magic. Liam confirms this, although he did have a bit of trouble perfecting the technique at first since it requires him to use 5 types of magic at once, but he eventually figured it out. Bruno is glad to see that his little brother is so talented because that means he will probably be fine on his own. As for Bruno, he's getting married, so he won't be around anymore. Liam is shocked since this is the first time he's hearing about any marriage. Bruno explains that he is marrying into a low-ranking noble family. They have less money than the Hamilton family, but he will have more freedom there, so he's happy with the arrangement. Liam wasn't sure how to feel about Bruno's advice, but he said he was happy for him. Before leaving, Bruno shared some family history. Their father had originally wanted a daughter to marry off to the royal family to secure their noble status. When Liam turned out to be a boy, their father deemed him a failure and tried again for a daughter. As their family situation grew more desperate, their father sent 1,000 men to slay a monster sealed in the forest, only for the plan to fail catastrophically, with over 90% of the force lost. Bruno believed the family was beyond saving and advised Liam to find a way to live independently. Taking Bruno's advice to heart, Liam decided to sell his products to make money. His white charcoal sold well, but he needed something more profitable to support himself. While in town, he took a break at a noodle shop, where he was blown away by the taste of the ramen. Since the noodles were made from scratch and didn't last long, he had an idea. Why not make instant noodles that could be stored for a long time? After some experimentation, he perfected his invention. Using his magic, he cooked and dehydrated the noodles so they could be prepared quickly by just adding hot water. Confident that it would be a hit, Liam took his new product to the merchant guild to sell. But to his dismay, the merchant turned him down, stating that he couldn't distribute his product since Liam was only the 5th son of the Hamilton family. As such, he will need written permission from his father or his eldest brother, Albert, to sell any original goods in this land. Liam doubts he can get permission without having to hand over the profits as well, so he gives up for now and leaves. And once he is home, we find out that Albert was the one who told the merchant to deny Liam's request. He can't stand the idea that his little brother is more successful than him, so he's going to do whatever it takes to stop him from succeeding. However, while Liam may not be aware of his brother's grudge against him, he's going to sell his products no matter what it takes. So he decides to take some drastic measures. First, he loads a bunch of his products into an item box he created with the man's ring. And afterward, he begins casting summoning magic. But this time, instead of summoning a spirit, he intends to use it to summon himself. Initially, this looked like it was going to work like teleportation, but instead he summons a perfect clone of himself and sends it off to a neighboring land. If he isn't allowed to sell his items within the Hamilton region, then he's just going to have to sell them somewhere else. Several days later, Liam's clone sends a message to him about all the recent sales he has made, and at this rate, Liam might actually be able to become independent. When Liam isn't busy selling his goods, he spends his time practicing his attack spells with the help of his clone. After a lot of practice, he finally manages to control the magic missile spell, and he feels proud of his progress. Just as he's feeling pleased with himself, he suddenly hears footsteps approaching, so he quickly dispels his clone and steps outside to see who's coming. To his surprise, it's Albrecht, someone he didn't expect to see. Albrecht doesn't waste any time and immediately asks Liam what his goals are for the future. Liam knows that Albrecht is asking because he wants to figure out whether Liam might be a threat to his chance of becoming the family's successor. But Liam isn't interested in family politics, so he simply tells Albrecht that he wants to be independent, not involved in any of that. But as mentioned before, Liam has no interest in family politics, so he tells Albrecht that he wants to become independent in the future. Albrecht is relieved since he won't have to compete with Liam for succession rights if he becomes independent. So to help him become independent as quickly as possible, he offers to put a good word for him so he can join the Hunters Guild. Later that day, Liam heads to the Hunters Guild, and as soon as he enters, all eyes are on him because the hunters don't think a kid like Liam is qualified to be here. Liam walks up to the front desk to meet the guild master, and the guild master already heard about him from Albrecht, but he's still going to have to give Liam a test to gauge his ability. He tells Liam to fire an offensive spell at him with any incantation he wants, but Liam had never heard of incantation before, so he had no idea what the guild master was talking about. The guild master had been expecting Liam to be slightly stronger than average since Albrecht recommended him, but after Liam fires his spell, the guild master has a near-death experience. Luckily, Liam has the sense to avoid aiming directly at the guild master, so after a moment of calming himself down, the guild master decides to grant Liam a B rank status. With this new ranking, Liam is now ready to take on his first mission. Just as he's about to leave, a girl approaches him. She introduces herself as Asuna and tells Liam that she is really impressed by what he can do. She asks him if he would like to team up with her for missions. Although Liam had planned to go out alone, he doesn't mind having a partner, so he agrees to team up with Asuna. She gets really happy and grabs his hand to lead him to their first mission. However, Liam feels a bit confused because neither of them has actually been assigned a mission yet. Asuna then explains to him that only parties with A rank or higher are given official missions, while lower ranked people like them need to find dangerous monsters to fight in order to earn a reward. The rest of the ranks have to go out and slay dangerous monsters for a reward, and as luck would have it, they just so happen to run into a wolf monster. Unfortunately, it turns out to be an entire pack of wolves, so Asuna isn't sure they'll be able to handle this many. Liam, on the other hand, thinks this should be an easy victory with the two of them. So he asks Asuna to finish the wolves off once he has incapacitated them. He then summons a couple of earth spirits and uses them as bait to get the attention of the wolves, and once the wolves bite down, Liam has the gnomes expand to lock their jaws in place. Now that they can no longer move, Asuna is free to cut them down one by one. All in all, there were 42 wolves killed, and when they present the carcasses to the guild master, he's so impressed by their skill that he tells them he has a special mission for them. An important person is supposed to come to the town in a few days, so the guild master asks Liam and Asuna to take care of an armored caterpillar that's been blocking the road. The caterpillar is causing problems, and if it isn't dealt with soon, it could be dangerous for the important guest. Liam knows how serious the situation is, so he focuses and gets ready to face the caterpillar. They find it without much trouble, but once they start fighting it, they realize it's much harder to defeat than they thought. No matter how hard Asuna strikes it with her sword or how many magic spells Liam casts, nothing seems to get through. The caterpillar's tough shell just keeps blocking all their attacks, and Liam starts to worry that they won't be able to defeat it unless they come up with a new plan. If they can't find a way to beat the caterpillar, it could be a real problem for the town. While taking a break, Asuna jokes that the only thing that could get through that caterpillar's armor would be a meteor. But there's no way they can get a meteor strike right here. However, Asuna's comment gave Liam an amazing idea, so he asks her to draw the caterpillar's attention while he gets ready. Asuna has no idea what Liam is planning to do, but she goes along with his plan and distracts the caterpillar. Once it is in position, Liam opens his item box and drops a massive boulder on the worm, killing it in one blow. The method was so effective, in fact, that they managed to kill a second caterpillar. After they kill the first caterpillar, Liam starts to worry that there might be more around. To be sure, he uses a search spell, and just as he suspected, he finds another caterpillar hiding nearby. Without wasting any time, Liam quickly takes care of the second one as well. The guild master is really impressed with how well Liam and Asuna handled the situation, so he decides to reward them with 5 times the original amount they were promised. A few days later, when the important guest is supposed to arrive, Liam, Asuna, and many people from the town gather outside, eagerly waiting to see who it is. Liam's father and Albrecht are also there, preparing to greet the guest. However, the guest seems to be particularly interested in Liam, which surprises him. A lot of things happen, and eventually, James calls Liam in for a private meeting. Liam has no idea why he's being called or what's going on, but he follows along, wondering what this is all about. The man introduces himself as James Stanley, and he wants to get straight to the point. So he asks Liam how he got Raymond's ring. He thinks Liam must have stolen it, but Liam gets up and yells that he would never do such a thing to his master. He explains the whole encounter he had with that man in the forest, and after hearing the whole story, Stanley finds it really amusing since that sounds exactly like something Raymond would do. He apologizes for accusing Liam of theft, since he hadn't realized Raymond took on a student, but since he's here anyway, he wants to see how strong Raymond's student really is. He tells his assistant Simone to go stand over in the corner and asks Liam to fire his most powerful spell at Simone. Liam agrees to the test, so he gets into position and prepares to cast his magic missiles. But for an extra boost, he decides to use an incantation he recently learned. That incantation amplifies the magic power used in casting a spell, and for the best effect, the words used in the incantation must have some significance to the caster. So Liam starts reciting the names of his favorite idols. The incantation evidently works, because Liam's spell casting is boosted from the usual 7 to 11 at once, and poor Simone over here can't handle it. So the attack breaks through his shield and he gets hit. James is impressed with Liam's capacity for high-volume magic, so he offers him a reward and says he will be granted the status of a knight. Becoming a knight means Liam is now independent, so Albrecht will probably stop watching him from now on since he's no longer a threat to his succession. Anyway, James knows Raymond really well, so he knows that Raymond loves playing practical jokes and asks if anything like that has happened to him recently. And now that he mentions it, when Liam was training to master his item box, he ended up using it to drain out the lake in the forest. When Liam goes back to the lake, he remembers what Raymond had left there for him. He finds a letter addressed to him from Raymond. The letter explains that Raymond had planned to give Liam 100 kilograms of gold as a graduation gift, but sadly, the gold sank to the bottom of the lake. Instead of just letting it stay there, Raymond decided to turn the gold into fine gold dust and mix it into the river. Liam thinks it's a bit strange and a waste of so much gold to just throw it in the river. However, James suggests that Raymond is known for his playful side, and there might be something more to this than just a joke, so it might be worth looking into it more carefully. Taking James' advice to heart, Liam decides to return to the lake and try again. This time, he comes up with a clever idea of using his item box to separate the gold dust from the water. When he does this, something unexpected happens. He uncovers a hidden door. Inside, Liam finds a note from Raymond, and it says Liam can have this maximum level grim wire as his real graduation gift since he figured out the riddle Raymond himself was never able to master. But Liam might get some use out of it. Liam takes a look at the grim wire and finds an interesting spell called Another World in there, and after several hours of trial and error, Liam finally manages to get the spell to work. The Another World spell creates a separate dimension, which Liam has full control over, so he can open a gateway anywhere, and no one can enter without his permission. Liam is overjoyed by all the amazing things he could do with this spell, so as soon as he has the chance, he goes out hunting with Asuna again. They are up against a massive frog this time, so Liam first tries using his fire spirits to attack it, but that wasn't enough to kill the frog. In retaliation, the frog begins charging up its ultimate attack. So just before they get hit, Liam pulls Asuna into his pocket dimension. Thanks to Liam's quick thinking and using his special pocket dimension to pull Asuna out of harm's way, both of them are protected from the frog's powerful electric attack. After the frog uses up all of its energy, Liam and Asuna are able to finish it off. A short time later, they return to the guild with the frog's magic stone, and the guild master is shocked by how easily they managed to complete the quest. This quest was a rank quest, which meant it was supposed to be difficult, and he thought they might have trouble with it. But to his surprise, Liam made it look simple. Asuna, however, gets upset because the guild master keeps talking about Liam's victory as if she didn't help. Even though she fought with him, the guild master only seems to recognize Liam's efforts. The guild master apologizes to Asuna for overlooking her, but since Liam did most of the work, he forgot that Asuna was even part of the team. He notices that Asuna is feeling down about being much weaker than Liam, so he makes an awkward suggestion. He suggests that Liam should make Asuna his slave. Neither Liam nor Asuna thinks that's a good idea, because if Asuna were a slave, she would have to follow any command Liam gives, even though they both know that it would be unfair and uncomfortable. But then the guild master mentions the fact that, as Liam's familiar, Asuna would automatically grow stronger in proportion to Liam's strength, and as soon as she hears that, she's on board with becoming Liam's slave. Sure, she won't be able to refuse if Liam ends up making pervy requests, but Asuna trusts that he wouldn't do that, and even if he did, she wouldn't mind. They end up creating the contract, and once it's done, Asuna immediately disappears. Everyone is shocked, but then she reappears behind Liam and explains that she just moved really fast. After the contract was established, Asuna heard a voice in her head that told her a unique skill had been acquired, Speedster. Liam thinks this is incredibly interesting, so interesting in fact that he wants to try it out again. But making familiar contracts forces obedience, so it would be hard to find someone who is willing to lose their freedom in exchange for skill. Fortunately, Asuna knows someone who'd be perfect for it. They go to see Asuna's friend Jody and explain the whole situation to her. Jody's got nothing better to do right now, so she agrees to become Liam's familiar, and after the contract is formed, everyone asks her if she unlocked a unique skill as well. Instead of explaining her skill, Jody leaves the guild and returns with 2 sandwiches. She gives one to a man with a broken hand, and as soon as he eats it, his arm heals. Jody says her skill allows her to heal with the food she makes. A few days later, Liam meets with James, who tells him that Princess Scarlet is coming to visit. Liam is confused, but James reminds him that Liam completed an A-rank quest, can cast up to 11 spells at once, and can give people unique skills by becoming their master. The princess is particularly interested in seeing Liam demonstrate the ability of his slaves, but Liam firmly refuses to do such a thing. James can't believe Liam truly wishes to turn down a request from the queen herself, but even though Jody and Asuna are Liam's familiars, they are still his friends, so he will not turn them into a circus act for someone's amusement. James sees that Liam isn't changing his mind, so he tells him he can leave. After Liam leaves, it's revealed that the maid who had been serving them was actually the princess. James apologizes for Liam's refusal, but the princess finds it interesting that Liam would stand up to royalty to protect his friends. She decides she wants to see if he will do the same when facing her directly. The next day, Liam is asked to meet Princess Scarlet, and this time she's not hiding her true identity. Liam knows he needs to be careful about how he talks to her. He walks into her palace and kneels in front of her, showing respect. However, Princess Scarlet wants to get straight to the point. She orders a seat for Liam and tells him that she has heard a lot about his recent achievements. She's especially impressed that he was able to defeat an armored caterpillar and a giant frog. But what really catches her attention is that he managed to kill the frog without using any powerful magic. Scarlet tells him that this is the first time anyone has managed to do something like that. She's surprised by Liam's skill and how he can handle such difficult creatures without relying on high-level magic. She clearly thinks very highly of him after hearing about his accomplishments, and this makes Liam feel both nervous and proud at the same time. However, she is even more interested in Liam's familiars, so she asks him to show her what they can do. Liam can tell that she's trying to use her authority to force him to obey, but he can't accept her request. Scarlet asks him if he really intends to refuse a direct request from a noble, but regardless of what the consequences may be, Liam sticks to his decision and firmly refuses to let Scarlet use his friends like a circus act. He knows that by refusing her, he might anger her, but he's ready to face whatever punishment comes. However, to his surprise, Scarlet starts laughing loudly. She has never met anyone like Liam, someone who stands by their principles no matter what, even when faced with someone in a position of power. She finds this quality in him really amusing and interesting. Because of this, she decides to reward him. With a smile, she announces that from now on, Liam will be given the title of Baron. Liam is shocked and a little panicked. He doesn't feel like he deserves such a high title, especially since he hasn't done anything he thinks is special. But Scarlet likes him, and as the princess, she has the power to do whatever she wants. So she confidently gives him the title, leaving Liam both surprised and unsure of how to react to this unexpected change in his life. This way, Liam's family will lose their status as nobility. But there's something else Scarlet wants to give him. She presents Liam with a familiar contract grimoire, and Liam is way more excited about this than he was about becoming a baron. So he thanks Scarlet profusely and goes on his merry way to practice with his new grimoire. A little while later, Liam is sitting out in the forest while reading the grimoire, and he is able to use the spells inside pretty easily. But until he masters the book, his contracts won't be permanent. While he's still practicing, he notices Bruno walk up to him, and he's really surprised since Bruno got married and left home a while ago. Bruno doesn't have a good reason for being there. He just wanted to spend time with his brother. He's really proud of Liam for becoming a baron. It's a big deal. Bruno tries to explain that even though a count is a higher rank than a baron, it matters how someone got their title. Liam's title is special because he earned it through his own hard work, while their father's title was simply given to him by their family. So of course, those who earn their titles are seen as more impressive. Liam had no idea that was how it worked, but even if he now outranks his father, he doesn't really care since he just wants to learn magic. As he is walking through the halls, he comes across Albrecht, so he greets him, but Albrecht rudely ignores him, so Liam is left wondering why he is so mad. Meanwhile, Albrecht is absolutely furious that his stupid little brother is somehow overshadowing him. While he's walking, he overhears a couple of maids talking about how much Liam has been accomplishing lately, and he takes great offense to this. Albrecht gets angry and yells at them, suggesting that if they think Liam is so impressive, maybe they should quit their jobs and go work for him instead. The maids realize that Albrecht is jealous of Liam's success. They quickly apologize to try and calm him down, but he's still upset. He demands to know if they think Liam is better than him. The maids know that Liam, a magic prodigy who earned a title at just 12 years old, is far more accomplished than Albrecht, who hasn't achieved anything significant in his life. However, they want to keep their jobs, so they lie and tell Albrecht that he is better than Liam. Albrecht then walks away in a huff and is determined to prove that he really is better than Liam, so he swears that he will accomplish something as well. The next day, Liam meets with Asuna and Jody in town, and the three of them seem to have become quite popular, mostly because of how pretty Jody and Asuna are, and consequently, every guy in the crowd is staring daggers at Liam out of jealousy. Moving on, Liam wants the three of them to officially form a party, but he doesn't want to force them to do something they don't want to do, so he asks if they're okay with it. Neither Asuna nor Jody has any reason to object to Liam's idea, so they agree to form a party with him. The group heads into the forest on a mission. Jody uses her bow and arrow to wound a wolf, and then Asuna quickly kills it with her sword. Liam praises Asuna on how much faster she has become since she became his familiar. Jody mentions that her eyesight has improved since the magic contract turned her back into a child. Liam wonders if better eyesight is always a good thing. Jody thinks better eyesight is always helpful, especially for an archer. Liam then uses magic to improve Jody's eyesight even further, allowing her to see much farther than before. Asuna asks Liam about the magic he used to improve Jody's eyesight. Liam explains that it's a simple spell that makes things easier to see. Asuna wants Liam to use the same spell on her, but Liam thinks it might be dangerous. He could make her stronger, but it might also hurt her. Improving eyesight is safer, and it has already helped Jody a lot. With her improved vision, Jody can now hit targets from much farther away. She is very thankful to Liam for helping her. After a long day of hunting, Liam and his friends return to the guild and are surprised to find it in complete disarray. They ask what happened and are told that Albrecht caused a huge mess by breaking the forest seal. Liam immediately realizes that Albrecht must have attempted to defeat the monster sealed in the forest out of twisted jealousy, and Liam believes this is partially his fault. So he runs out to the forest to assess the situation. He and the others soon arrive on the scene, and it is much worse than anything they could have imagined. Dozens of soldiers are badly wounded, and many more are already dead, so Liam is absolutely horrified. He spots Albrecht lying on the ground, injured, and runs over to check on him. But as soon as Albrecht sees him, he hits him in a frenzy and starts yelling that he hasn't failed yet. Just then, the master takes a stick and whacks Albrecht over the head with it because the situation is already crazy enough as it is, so he doesn't need a crazy, insecure noble running around. Once Albrecht is taken away, the guild master approaches Liam and tells him he's glad he came. Asuna asks him about what's going on, so he explains that the dragon fiend Raiden used to be sealed inside these woods thanks to the hard work of Liam's great-grandfather. But Albrecht undid that seal in a failed attempt to kill Raiden, so it's now on the loose. The people at the guild know how to seal Raiden back away, and they have everyone they need to do it. However, they can't seal him because of his children. The little Rons cause all the damage, and if they are this strong, Raiden will be even more powerful. Luckily, it will take Raiden about a week to become strong enough to attack. If they can seal him before then, they can prevent a disaster. Liam wants to help, so he goes to where Raiden is being held. The little Rons are guarding him. Asuna tries to attack one of them, but it shoots a fireball at her. She dodges it, but the tree behind her is completely destroyed. Liam then tries using his magic missiles to attack, but the Rons use their fireballs to counter, so Liam doesn't know what to do anymore. His strongest attack spell did not affect them, but he still has one more trick he could try, so he orders Asuna to take Jody and run. The Rons all charge at Liam, but before they can get to him, he opens another world gate and lets them fall in, so they are all trapped inside now. The guild master can't believe that Liam was able to defeat all three of the little Rons on their own, and neither can Liam, since that was a really close call. Now that the little Rons can't interfere anymore, the guild master calls for everyone to begin sealing Raiden away again. While that's going on, Asuna and Jody return to Liam's side, and he's relieved that they are all right. They ask him about the spell he used to defeat the little Rons, so Liam explains that it's a spell that creates a separate dimension. He trapped the little Rons in there, but there's no risk of them escaping, since at his current level of mastery, everything inside the dimension disappears whenever he closes the gate. Just then, Liam hears a voice in his head, and in the next second, he is pulled into Raiden's mind. Raiden refers to Liam as a human with an immense soul and asks him who he is, but Liam doesn't understand the question since as far as he knows, he's just a regular human. Raiden doesn't believe Liam is who he says he is because something feels wrong. Liam realizes Raiden might know that his soul is not originally from this body. Liam wonders if Raiden knows why this happened, but Raiden doesn't have an answer. Raiden believes Liam's life will be exciting and offers him a deal. Raiden wants to stay with Liam and help him, but promises not to hurt Liam or his friends. Raiden also offers to help Liam improve his skills. Liam doesn't feel any danger from Raiden and agrees to the deal. All of a sudden, Raiden's body dematerializes and is absorbed into Liam's soul, leaving a dragon mark on his hand. Liam can feel the power of Raiden flowing through his body, so he decides to do a little test run and fires his magic missile into the sky. To his surprise, he is now able to control and fire 17 spells at the same time. It must be thanks to the power boost Raiden granted him, but using Raiden's power seems to have some negative side effects, since everyone around Liam begins to suffer headaches from being exposed to such dense mana. Liam notices everyone struggling and realizes his mana is the cause, so he suppresses it and apologizes for acting so thoughtlessly. As his way of showing his sincerity, he offers the guild master 10 kilograms worth of gold dust and tells him to use it to pay for the treatment of those who were badly injured in this fight. The next day, Liam meets with his father. His father is very thankful to Liam for stopping Albrecht from causing a big problem. Liam's father also heard that James is still in town, so news of Liam's bravery will likely reach the king soon. That night, Liam goes to sleep. When he wakes up the next morning, he realizes he can now use 2 new magic spells. He goes outside to try out the spells. After practicing for a while, he is able to use one of the spells to summon a small version of Raiden. It's mostly just a cute pet right now, but Liam thinks he can train it to be helpful in a fight. While Liam is playing with the little Raiden, Princess Scarlet happens to walk up behind him, and she recognizes the magic Liam just used as holy magic. She already knew Liam was impressive, but to think he would be capable of using holy magic at such a young age. Anyway, that's not why Scarlet is here today. She is here to give Liam his reward for defeating the Dragon Fiend. She personally wanted to grant him a higher title of nobility, But the other nobles were really opposed to the idea of a landless child being promoted so frequently. So instead, she decides to give him the Order of the Phoenix, 3rd class. While she's here, she also wants to hear about how Liam managed to defeat the dragon, since depending on the details, she may have to declare him as their country's hero. The princess is completely shocked and upset when she finds out that Liam absorbed the dragon fiend. At first, she feels like she made a huge mistake about him, thinking that he might not be the kind of person she thought he was. But then again, she remembers that she saw him use holy magic earlier, and that makes her wonder if maybe he's not as bad as she thought. Still, she's not sure how to feel about it. After thinking for a moment, she decides that Liam needs to keep this detail to himself. She tells him firmly that he must keep it a secret, no matter what happens. The next day, Liam is surprised when he receives a chest filled with 3,000 gold coins. He realizes it's meant as hush money, but he doesn't really understand why the princess wants him to keep quiet about what happened. He feels confused and a little uneasy, but since the princess is in charge and made her wishes clear, he decides he has no choice but to accept the money and follow her instructions. He doesn't know what the princess is thinking, but for now he has to go along with her request, even though he's still not sure why it's so important. James calls a meeting to question Liam about recent events. Liam initially denies anything significant happened, but considering the princess paid him a substantial amount of hush money, James suspects there's a major secret involved. Pressing Liam for answers, James eventually gets him to admit that he can use holy magic. To prove it, Liam demonstrates a spell capable of removing all negative status effects, including petrification and poison. James is amazed but notes that such power aligns with the divine nature of holy magic, often considered an act of God. Curious, James asks Liam if he knows about the War of the Three Dragons. When Liam admits he doesn't, James begins recounting the tale. Long ago, there was a battle between 3 great dragons that lasted until only one stood victorious. It is said that the dragon's victory was largely due to its use of holy magic, and after that, the dragon supposedly joined a human, and its magic was used to found this kingdom. When James says join, the first thing that pops into Liam's head is that the dragon and the human got married and had children, but that's not the case. James points out that Liam is a prime example of what it looks like to join a dragon, and now that he thinks about it, Raiden did enter his body, so the two of them are technically joined. James tells Liam that he's basically recreating the legend of this nation's founding. But as amazing as that is, there are more pressing matters to discuss. The Hamilton family's noble status came from the achievement of their grandfather's sealing away a dragon fiend, but it turns out that Raiden was not a dragon fiend in the first place, but rather the nation's founding dragon. So Liam's family wrongfully sealed this nation's founder. If this information gets out, the Hamilton family's status as nobility would almost certainly be dissolved, and Liam doesn't want that since he knows how desperate his father and Albert are to maintain their status. But there's something that James is even more concerned about since there's a chance that Raiden is angry about being sealed away, so he may be plotting his revenge against their nation. However, Liam has a little chat with Raiden in his head, and Raiden says he has no intention of retaliating against the humans. All he is interested in is watching Liam develop. James says this is terrific news, and it wouldn't be a stretch to say that Liam is the savior of the kingdom for being able to grab the attention of Raiden. Shortly after, Liam arrives at the guild, but before he can go inside, Asuma and Jody drag him away. Confused, Liam asks what's happening once they're far enough from the guild. They explain that the guild is packed with people eager to join their party after hearing about Liam defeating a dragon fiend. Many adventurers have been pestering them to convince Liam to let them join. They've even compiled a list of potential applicants, though none of them seem particularly impressive. Since Liam is the party leader, the final decision rests with him. Liam decides to head home to review the list, but as soon as he arrives, one of the maids informs him she has something to show him. She reveals a pile of marriage proposals from various noblewomen who want to become Liam's wife. Liam had expected some attention due to his newfound popularity, but the sheer number is overwhelming. Even his brother Bruno arrives with a letter, though thankfully it's not from him, it's from a relative of the family Bruno married into. Curious, Bruno asks what Liam did to receive so many proposals, even after defeating a dragon. Liam knows the truth. The only people aware of his holy magic are the princess and James. However, the hush money the princess paid has sparked rumors among the nobles that there's more to Liam than meets the eye. While the attention is a bit of a headache, Liam can't deny he's enjoying his newfound fame. Later that day, Liam heads out into the forest with Jod and Asuna because he has something he would like to show them. He opens his pocket dimension and upon entering, Asuna and Jod find a huge house in the middle of the room. Lion explains that he had a carpenter build it and then he moved it in here using his item box. And that's all impressive, but Asuma is concerned that the house will just disappear like what happened with the Raiden Juniors back then. Lion explains that he has fully mastered this spell and nothing inside will disappear anymore, which is why he put all this stuff in here. He gives AA and Jod a tour through the house and they are both enjoying themselves, but Jod brings up the fact that this place is constantly bright, so it would be hard to go to sleep there. Lion comes up with an idea and decides to summon a shade spirit to darken the area. While it does work, it works a little too well because the entire place is pitch black now. Lion tries to brighten it up a bit by having a fire spirit light the fireplace, but this still looks too much like a horror movie setting. So he asks the shade if it can control the level of darkness it creates. Unfortunately, the shade is low level, so it doesn't have control over its darkness. Although a mid-level shade would be able to do it, Liam hasn't learned the spell to summon one yet. Asuma thinks it's a real shame that the low-level shade can't just become a mid-level one. That's when Liam remembers that his familiar contracts level people up. So he forms a contract with the shade, and it indeed levels up. The shade thanks Liam for forming a contract with it, and since it is now mid-level, it limits the level of darkness in the area to make it look like nighttime. He then tells Liam that he can call on him anytime, but Liam isn't sure he'll be able to summon the shade anymore since he doesn't know how to use mid-level spirit magic. However, the shade points out that Liam is wearing a magic storage ring, so he should be able to use it to absorb and summon him whenever he wants. Liam hadn't thought of that, so he tried it, and the ring really does absorb the mid-level shade. He then does the same thing with all the other spirits and levels them up before storing them in his ring. So Liam now basically has a mid-level summoning grimoire of his own. The next day, Liam heads out into the forest at Raiden's request, and once he gets to the designated spot, Raiden asks him to summon one of the Raiden Juniors. Liam summons it, and the Raiden Junior creates an opening and a barrier that reveals dozens of pixies that have been hidden in the forest. As soon as the pixies realize that Liam is a human, they all start flying away so they don't get hurt. Liam tries to calm them down by explaining that he isn't their enemy. He tells them that Raiden is the one who told him to come here, and after hearing Raiden's name, the fairies seem to trust him a little more. Pixie wings are highly sought after as ingredients for potions, which led humans to nearly drive them to extinction. To safeguard them, Raiden created a protective barrier around the forest. However, now that Raiden resides within Liam, he can no longer maintain the barrier. He entrusts Liam with the responsibility of protecting the pixies. To do so, Liam decides to form familiar contracts with them and asks for their consent. Since Liam is acting on Raiden's behalf, the pixies trust him. Additionally, Raiden suggests that Liam give the pixies names, as naming grants additional power to human magic. Liam forms a contract and decides to name the first pixie Reina. However, to his surprise, once the contract is completed, Reina is transformed from a pixie to an elf. Raiden thinks it's interesting that the pixies evolved into elves, but he isn't that surprised by it. However, Liam is totally confused and has no idea how this could have possibly happened. Raiden explains that by forming a magic contract and naming the pixie at the same time, the magic power from both actions resonated and created a stronger response than normal, which is why the pixie evolved so much. Raiden says it would be best if Liam names every familiar that he forms contracts with. After seeing the effects of the contract, all the other pixies are eager to form a contract and ask Liam to name them as well. Once all the pixies have been turned into elves, Reina asks him for some orders since they are his familiars. Liam hadn't really thought that far ahead since he had just come here at Raiden's request, but since the pixies are all elves now, he suggests that they should start building a village for themselves. He also appoints Reina as the leader of the village since she was the first pixie he evolved, and she's the only one whose name he remembers right now. After that, the elves begin working on building their village, but Liam is left completely drained from using so much magic to form all the contracts. While recovering, he suddenly senses a strong concentration of magic deeper in the forest. Curious, he investigates and discovers a golden fruit hanging from a tree. The fruit radiates mana, so he asks Reina about it. She explains that pixies create these fruits by gathering and condensing mana from the air, essentially making mana honey. Liam asks if he can try it, and Reina agrees. He cuts down the fruit and takes a bite. To his surprise, not only is his magic power fully restored, but his overall magic capacity increases, allowing him to cast up to 19 spells without a chant. The next day, Liam comes back to the village to check on how things are going, and Reina comes out to greet him. But she has some bad news. Even though he told them to build a village for themselves, they don't actually know how to build houses, so this is the best they could do. Liam figured something like this might happen, so he's prepared to teach them how to build homes for themselves. However, his lesson is interrupted when they hear one of the elves scream for help. When bandits entered the forest and spotted an elf, they immediately decided to kidnap her to sell for profit. Liam, unwilling to let this happen, demanded they release Susie right away. However, being bandits, they ignored him and tried to attack instead. In response, Liam summoned a clone and used it to launch a coordinated attack, quickly defeating them. Although he successfully rescued Susie, he realized the forest was far too dangerous for the elves to live in, prompting him to plan their relocation to a safer place. He wants to put them in his pocket dimension for now, but he's not sure they'll all fit since the space isn't that big. However, when he takes a look inside, he realizes that it's gotten a lot bigger since the last time he saw it. It's probably because of that pixie honey that he ate yesterday, and this works out great for him. So he tells all the pixies to get inside so he can take them to a safe place. A little while later, Liam has returned to his land and opens his pocket dimension for the elves to come out, and they are shocked to realize that they are in an entirely different area now. Liam tells them that he brought them to his land so they won't have to worry about being attacked anymore. While the elves are grateful, they are even more amazed that Liam was able to transport all of them here with a single spell. They all bow down to ask Liam to become their king, and if he agrees to rule them, they swear to do whatever he asks. Liam feels a responsibility to protect the elves, so he agrees to become their leader, though he asks them not to call him a king, as he has no interest in dealing with politics. As their leader, he takes on the task of finding suitable land for them to settle. After 4 days of searching and practicing the magic Raiden taught him tirelessly, Liam finally masters it. He instructs the elves to line up and uses the magic to teleport them approximately 100 kilometers away to a place called the Sealed Islands. Raiden is the one who sealed this land, but he has permitted them to use it as much as they like. This would have been a 4-day trip if they traveled normally, but with the teleportation magic he learned from Raiden, he can instantly travel to any location he has been to before. He tells the elves that they can live here from now on, but he's still going to need someone to build houses for them. For now, he's leaving the Raiden Jr. in charge of protecting the elves until he gets back, so he teleports back home. There he is visited by the princess, who wanted to ask him if Raiden ever mentioned a place called the Promised Lands. Liam has never heard of the Promised Lands, but Raiden did permit him to use a place called the Sealed Lands. So the princess asks Liam if he can take her there. Liam says he's fine with it, but in exchange, he needs something from her as well. He asks her to bring one of the court engineers because there's a project he needs to complete. Instead of bringing the actual engineer, Liam creates a clone of Golak and teleports both the clone and the princess to the Sealed Lands. Upon arriving, the princess is convinced that this place is the legendary Promised Land. She recalls an old legend claiming that humanity's salvation is tied to the Promised Lands and that a ring, which has been passed down through the royal family for generations, serves as the key. When the ring starts reacting to Liam and he touches it, a massive section of the land rises into the air under his control. The princess bows down to him and asks Liam to form a nation here for the sake of humanity. Liam really doesn't want to do it, but the princess pledges her loyalty and all her resources to help make it happen, so he has no choice. The elves have been making steady progress on their village, and while they are doing that, Liam works on taking down all the monsters that roam this land with his magic. After he finally takes down a giant turtle, Liam notices Princess Scarlet standing behind him. Scarlet apologizes for staring, but she was just so mesmerized by her master's outstanding magic power. Liam still isn't comfortable with this whole master-servant relationship Scarlet wants, so he tells her she doesn't have to serve him. After all, her status as the second princess of the kingdom far outranks Liam. However, Scarlet is doing this because she wants to. Her family has dragon blood flowing through their veins, which is why the women in her family are usually married off to build ties with other nations. That's why she would much rather serve under the dragon god Raiden than remain the princess of the kingdom. After witnessing Scarlet's devotion, Raiden grows fond of her and instructs her to walk 1 kilometer north, hinting that she might find something interesting there. She and Liam follow his guidance and soon come across the entrance to ancient ruins hidden deep within the forest. Curious, they venture inside and discover a metal dragon resting in the center of the chamber. As they approach, the dragon suddenly awakens, appearing hostile and ready to attack. Concerned, Liam quickly asks Raiden for an explanation. Raiden clarifies that the creature is one of the guardians he created, and it will undoubtedly attack them unless they can disable it. However, Raiden reveals a weakness. The dragon will become obedient if Liam removes one of the ancient letters engraved on its forehead. Determined, Liam teleports to the dragon's head and strikes one of the letters with a holy lance, successfully neutralizing its defense mode. The dragon then reacts to the dragon blood flowing through Scarlet's body and decides to listen to her. So Scarlet happily accepts the dragon guard, but when Liam says he wants to return to the surface, Scarlet says she's going to wait here for a while since she doesn't want to leave her dragon alone until it has fully recovered from the wound Liam's attack caused. Liam still can't get used to the idea of having someone as important as Scarlet serve him, but Raiden suggests that Liam just needs to become someone equally as important. That way, it wouldn't be awkward anymore, but it's definitely easier said than done. Just then, Liam notices a disturbance coming from the direction of the village the elves are building, so he teleports over to see what's going on. To his horror, he finds the village in complete ruin. The elves tell him that this was caused by some wolfmen that attacked all of a sudden. And speaking of wolfmen, they show back up and begin demanding that the intruders leave this holy land immediately. Liam can tell that the wolfmen have mistaken them for intruders, so he tries explaining that they were given permission to stay here. But before he could say anything, the wolfman proceeds to attack him. So Liam is forced to teleport out of the way and defend himself with a little magic. The wolfman still seems determined to kick Liam and his friends out of this holy land, but then Liam pulls out a Raiden Jr., proving that he's affiliated with Raiden. Realizing his mistake, the wolfman sincerely apologizes for the destruction of the village. However, the elves assure him that there is no need for remorse, as the wolves were simply fulfilling their duty in service to Raiden. The girls propose that the wolfmen should also become Liam's familiars. The wolfmen's leader finds the idea reasonable and agrees to it, and since Liam has no objections, he proceeds to form a contract with her, officially naming her Chris. The next day, Liam returns to the village to see how things are going. And with the addition of Chris and all the other wolfmen, progress on the village has been going a lot quicker. As soon as Chris sees Liam, she jumps up to give him a hug, and when he asks how the construction has been going, Chris points in that direction and says they are still rebuilding one of the homes they destroyed yesterday. Once again, she sincerely apologizes for acting so rashly yesterday, but Liam says it's fine as long as the wolfmen can help repair the homes. Although things would definitely go a lot faster if Liam could just use magic to repair the homes instead, there's no spell for that in the ring. Raiden tells him he can just create a repair spell for himself if it doesn't already exist. Liam had no idea it was possible for him to just create his own spells, so Raiden explains that all he needs to do is clearly imagine every step of the process of what he's trying to accomplish. And once he has done that, he casts the spell on a piece of wood and asks Chris to smash it for him. Chris does as instructed, but to her surprise, right after smashing it, the piece of wood repairs itself as good as new. Liam explains that this is the effect of the spell he just came up with heat memory. It allows inanimate objects to maintain a particular state no matter what, so if he uses this on the homes, no matter what happens, the buildings will stay standing. After getting the hang of this spell creation thing, Liam begins experimenting with all kinds of spells and ends up creating explosive magic missiles. He intends to continue inventing more spells, but all of a sudden, he gets called because there's an emergency. Humans have invaded the land and are hunting down some pixies that live here. This is really serious, so Liam rushes out to investigate and discovers the intruders. He stands in their way and warns them to turn back because this is his nation. The men think Liam is just a stupid child, so they ignore him and continue moving. But then Liam fires a warning shot to make it clear that he's not messing around. The men don't take kindly to this, so instead of just turning around and leaving, they decide to attack. And they leave Liam with no choice but to take each and every one of them out. After all the soldiers have been taken care of, Liam returns to the village, where Arna thanks him for protecting the pixies. These pixies used to live in the forest, but they were attacked by the soldiers who were trying to capture them, so they fled here for safety. Liam tells the pixies they are all welcome to stay here for as long as they want, and he is even willing to form contracts with them. But there are a lot of pixies here, so Liam spends a lot of time naming them, and he's starting to run out of names. The next day, Liam calls a meeting with the girls in his pocket dimension and shows them the helmet to ask if they know anything about it. Scarlet recognizes the crest on the helmet as that of Pa, and like the kingdoms Junel and Quist, Pa is a kingdom that borders the Promised Land. That can only mean that the men who attacked yesterday were likely Palta scouts, and if that serves as any indication, then scouts from Jamil and Quadr will eventually start showing up as well. The three nations were once separated by the valley, but now that Raiden's illusion barrier is no longer in place, they must be trying to claim the land for themselves. Scarlet thinks that the only way to permanently stop anyone from taking over the Promised Lands is for Liam to form a nation here, and Liam agrees. Scarlet outlines the key elements needed to establish a nation: land, people, and power. Liam already possesses land, and as his reputation grows, people will naturally be drawn to him, so he doesn't need to worry about that. The main concern is military strength. While Liam is powerful, he needs a capable defense force to protect the territory in his absence. In response, Chris steps forward and vows to safeguard the Promised Land, declaring that she will eliminate anyone who dares to attack. Though Liam finds her words overly aggressive, he acknowledges that the Wolfmen are well suited for combat and entrusts her with the land's security. Scarlet reassures Liam that his main focus should be on developing the village and demonstrating his strength by repelling enemy threats. Over time, neighboring nations will recognize that forming an alliance with him is in their best interest. Everyone agrees on this plan of action, but by the next day, things have progressed far quicker than Liam thought they would. He's met by a man named Leonardo, who introduces himself as a noble from the Gild Kingdom, sent here by the King of Jay to meet with Liam. He explains that the Kingdom of Jill does not want to fight with him, so he is here in hopes of forming an alliance. If Liam agrees, the King of Jill is willing to offer Liam Princess Scarlet's hand in marriage. Liam is a little suspicious, since he hasn't done anything to warrant such an offer yet. By now, from Scarlet's previous actions, Jamil must have realized that these lands have something to do with the Dragon God, so it's possible that they are trying to get on his good side because of that. However, he still isn't sure what to do about it, so he creates a telepathy spell on the spot and starts talking to Scarlet to ask if she thinks it is a good idea to accept their offer. Scarlet tells him he should accept since, if the two of them got married, it would at least buy them half a year of time to expand their nation. Liam takes her advice and tells Leonardo that he would be honored to marry Princess Scarlet. However, he wants to postpone the marriage for a year so he can fully develop his nation into something worthy of the royal family. Leonardo says he understands and leaves to relay Liam's statement to the king. Now that that's been taken care of, Liam decides to visit Princess Scarlet's mansion over in the royal capital. But it's a really long journey to get there, so he has Scarlet escort his clone back, and once the clone arrives, it teleports the real Liam there. Now that Liam has been to Scarlet's mansion, he can come back whenever he wants. Since this is his first time in the royal capital, he wishes he could go sightseeing. But since he is now the ruler of another nation, Liam needs to keep a low profile while he's here. Scarlet invites him inside to have some tea, but before Liam gets inside, he feels some of Raiden's energy radiating from this place. So he asks Scarlet if there's anything inside that could possibly be traced back to Raiden. As a matter of fact, there's something that fits that description. Scarlet leads Liam to her mansion's cathedral, where a statue of Raiden has been preserved. This statue has been passed down through Scarlet's maternal family for generations, but Raiden had no idea this thing was still around since he had forgotten about it millennia ago. He tells Liam to go up to it and cast an all-clear spell, and when Liam does so, the statue begins to glow before being transferred onto Scarlet's body. Scarlet looks at herself and realizes she is now coated in strong-looking armor. For some reason, she can feel immense power flowing through her body. She attempts to cast one of Liam's spells and launches a holy lance. She manages to complete the spell, but it leaves her completely exhausted since she had to deplete all her mana to do it. Despite the strain, the fact that Scarlet successfully cast the spell is remarkable, as she had never been able to do so before. Raiden explains that the armor she wore was designed to enhance the wearer's abilities and grant access to some of his holy spells. However, Scarlet's body isn't yet strong enough to fully utilize its power. This makes sense, as she had been wearing the golden armor, the most powerful set Raiden ever created. While Scarlet might be able to manage a lower-tier armor, those were all lost in battle, leaving no alternatives for her. Liam, however, sees this as a solvable problem. Since Raiden originally created the armor, Liam believes he can replicate it in a way that suits Scarlet's abilities. Amused by Liam's determination, Raiden agrees to help and informs him that the first material they will need is high mithril. Liam asks Scarlet if she will be able to get some high mithril for the armor, and that shouldn't be a problem for her. So Liam gets to work right away. After a bit of hard work, Liam has finally created some armor that's suited to Scarlet, so he gives it to her and lets her try it out. First, she needs to form a contract with it. So Liam tells her to spill some of her blood on the statue, and after Scarlet does so, her body is once again covered in magic armor. Only this time, she's able to cast Raiden spells without collapsing. Raiden is impressed that Liam was able to replicate his armor so easily. And since they are on the topic, Raiden tells him about the most powerful set of armor he ever made, the Ruin Guardian. This is the armor set he used during the War of Gods Unso, and he encourages Liam to try it because he thinks he could handle it. Liam and Scarlet teleport back to the village, where Liam pours a drop of his blood onto the Guardian Raiden, successfully forming a contract with it. The Guardian Raiden then transforms into armor, which Liam equips, granting him the ability to cast 37 magic spells simultaneously. However, this immense power pushes Liam beyond his limits, causing him to collapse from mana exhaustion. Scarlet rushes to his side, but Liam reassures her that he is fine. Raiden, on the other hand, is astonished that Liam survived the experience. Up until now, only 3 individuals had ever emerged alive after donning this armor, and Liam is the first to have successfully cast a spell while wearing it. If he can fully master its power, he could potentially become strong enough to rule the world.